Hey everybody, thanks for signing in. We're going to get started shortly. If you could chat in any information about what you're doing with containers, what type of orchestrator, Kubernetes, Mesos, GCOS, ECS, Azure Container Service, anything like that, that'll really help us focus on what we're going to show you guys today. So sit tight. We got an awesome presentation for you guys that's going to start shortly, and thanks for joining. All right, looks like we got a lot of Kubernetes. We got one person with Kubernetes, OpenShift, and ECS. Rich, you're a wild man. That's awesome. We got some Mesos in here. We have Docker Swarm. So it looks like we got a pretty big mix of orchestrators. We'll probably wait for a couple more minutes to have the rest of the people sign on, and then we're going to get started. So sit tight, and we'll get started shortly. All right, hey everyone, we're coming to you live from Spain today. We've got Mateo Borello and Jorge Salamero Sanz, and we're really excited to have you guys join. We're probably going to get started in a minute or two. Thanks to everyone who's been chatting in a little bit of information about your environment. Looks like we got all different types of orchestrators on the line today, and then different stages of the container adoption cycle. So hopefully we'll have stuff for all you guys. And really excited to show you what we're going to present today. All right, Jorge and Mateo, over to you.
Hey Nox, thanks for the introduction. Hi everyone, I have here today Mateo with me.
Hello everyone.
I'm myself Jorge, and over the next hour or so, what we are going to do is to do an intro and some of the tools we cover in a blog post we published a few weeks ago. We got like 20 tools.
Yeah, 20. And actually some people from other companies emailed us and they want to include more tools, so they are going to be like 23, 24.
Yeah. The list is going to grow. But today, just basically because time limitations, we had to choose a small number. So we finally decided to get with this list of seccomp, Linux capabilities, AppArmor, CoreSquay, Twistlog, Aqua, Aquasec, Cillian, and finally we will also very briefly will show Sysdig Falco.
As Jorge said, this is just a small selection, but we know that there are a ton of other tools. If you actually go to this article, you will find some of them with a longer explanation. Just saying in case you want to learn more after this seminar.
Yeah, the idea today is we'll do a very quick introduction on the features of each of these tools. Then we'll do a live demo when possible with some of the commercial tools. We couldn't do a live demo, so we are going to share a very detailed screenshot, and we will go very deep into the features and how they have implemented things. But yeah, because we don't have more than an hour, really, we want to go quickly and just show the more important things. Then after the demo, we will discuss a little bit the things that we like and the things maybe could be improved in each of these tools and the use cases. So yeah, this is the idea. At the end, we can do a little bit of discussion and answer some questions, or just discuss any of the experiences that you might have.
Yeah, we can do a little Q&A at the end of the seminar.
Yeah, exactly. So, Mateo, do you think we can get it started?
Yeah. Okay, so in this list you can see 7 Docker security vulnerabilities and threats. This is also very related with the other article. And well, like we say in the article, Docker is very secure. It has isolation. It's minimal. You all know how it works. It's very secure. But we want to focus on container breakout, things like static image channel analysis, because with Docker it's very easy to start seeing everything like a black box, and not worry about what is happening inside.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we want to solve here.
Exactly. We have seen that there are like at least 7 different areas where security when using Docker and containers can be a concern. And the tools we will see next are covering some of these areas or pain points. And yeah, if you want to know more about these threats or security approaches to Docker, we also wrote about it. Probably you have seen it before.
Yeah, and as the other list with the tools, these 7 Docker security vulnerabilities is also going to grow, because you will see, for example, with Cillian, we are going to cover network that was not originally on the list.
Yeah.
So ever growing. Okay, so let's go straight into it.
Yeah.
The first tool I want to talk about is seccomp. There are 3 tools in this webinar that they are very, very related, very close. seccomp, Linux capabilities, and also AppArmor.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are more or less the same, but with all the specific things. Okay, so seccomp, what we always do is we think about IP tables or a firewall, but think of a firewall, but for the Linux API call.
For the system calls.
Yeah, the system calls, the Linux system calls. So seccomp is really straightforward. So basically you have a JSON configuration file, and you have a whitelist. You have a whitelist of systems call that your container can perform. Yeah, there is actually one system call that takes care of seccomp and transitions the container into the secure mode.
Okay, so the idea is that any process or any container, it moves into a different state.
Yes.
And becomes like isolated or becomes under these limitations that seccomp is imposing.
Yes, the number of system calls that this process can call is actually in the whitelist.
Okay.
So yeah, and you can actually kill the process. So you can, there are different modes. There are modes that only do audit or logging.
Okay.
But you can actually kill the process that tries to do something not allowed.
So, Mateo, then the idea is that we create a whitelist of system calls that processes all containers that can execute.
Yeah.
If they do something differently, either we log or we audit what happened,
yeah.
or we can kill the process or the container.
Yeah, we can straightforward kill the container.
Okay.
It depends on the policy.
Cool. Can we see that live?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I have here, all the demos are going to be fairly simple, but you know that in a webinar we cannot do something. So yeah, let me delete the last one. I don't have that. Yeah, I have it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I just downloaded the default seccomp list of rules.
Okay.
So I'm going to edit it.
Okay.
You can see here, this is a straight list of the Linux system calls. Okay, so let's imagine that we don't want a container to change the attributes of a file. This is very common because normally the containers, they don't change file permissions very often.
Okay.
It's not something that you would like to normally in a container. Okay, so we delete this.
Okay, so basically we look for the system calls that they do changing the permissions of files.
Exactly.
And we remove them from the profile.
Yeah, I will comment, but this is JSON, so you know.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, I delete them, save, and then what I'm going to do is just spawn a container, and you can see here that one of the security options is applying this seccomp.
Okay.
Okay.
So basically, Docker, the command line tool, is able to apply different
it actually
profiles to different containers.
Correct. It actually has a default seccomp profile. Okay. So there are some things that you cannot do in a container by default.
Okay. And this is, I guess, this is the default profile.
Yeah. What I did is just download the default profile that already has some things banned or forbidden, and So yeah, what I'm going to do is a very simple example.
Okay.
Operation not permitted. Okay.
Oh, so even if I'm a root user, I'm not able to change the permissions.
You are not able to change the permissions. Right. Permissions. Operation not permitted. Even if it's a file you yourself created.
Okay. So I guess this can be interesting. For example, if I'm mounting an external volume that has its own permissions, and I don't want the container to change permissions on files or on that volume, things like that.
Things like that, yes. Actually, we are going to talk about mounting volumes in the AppArmor example.
Okay, that's cool. This looks to me like the first step, probably one of the first security measures that you could apply when running containers in production.
Yes. Well, now I'm going to talk about things we like and things we think they could improve, or maybe instead of could improve, you could say maybe use other tools.
Okay.
So, well, what we like is already included in your Linux kernel. You don't need to install or install any third party or load a kernel module or anything. It's just that.
And also it's integrated in Docker, right?
Yeah, it's kind of integrated in Docker. And as you have seen, the configuration is just a straightforward JSON file. So this is basically a whitelist.
Yeah.
So you take the whitelist, it's very easy to tinker and play around with it.
Okay, understand.
Okay, and things that we don't like about this tool, well, maybe we don't like this tool. I mean, we love all these tools. Okay, guys, just want to pinpoint things that could be improved. So maybe if you want to use other tool for the task that you need. Okay, so things that could improve. You have seen the list of Linux system calls, and it's not always obvious to translate what you want to restrict to this list of names.
Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes the names can even be misleading.
Yeah.
You need to know what every Linux system calls exactly.
Okay, so there is an entry barrier.
Yeah, it seems easy because it's just a list, but it's not that easy actually. Okay. And well, there is no high-level integration. I mean, there is low-level integration, but you cannot. I mean, to hack a seccomp profile into Kubernetes, there is no let's say, very usable way of doing it.
Okay, so it's not like a management interface to apply.
Yeah, exactly. You can on the low level, on the actual invocation, you can put a second profile, but there is no.
Okay.
As far as we know, there is no.
Understood.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. Linux capabilities. Okay, so this is like a layer on top of seccomp. Traditionally in Linux, you have the root account, which is an all or nothing. So basically, root is God, and you can do anything with root.
Yes.
Okay. So this is two black or white approach. So Linux capabilities slice these permissions into different compartments, different sets of permissions. Okay. So this is very powerful because you can independently enable or disable some capabilities.
Yeah,
as we will see.
This is interesting because one of the Docker security best practices or recommendation is try to avoid running Docker containers as a root process.
Yeah, exactly. It's also related. Actually, if you go to the article, the Linux capabilities section has something similar to the example we are going to do now, and also changing usernames.
Okay, interesting. So.
Also, capabilities can also be associated with files. So similar to the set view, you know that you can become root, but just for a file. So similar to that. And you can also configure the inheritance. So you can say if a given capability is available for the father, but not the child
of the process.
Of the process. That's it. Okay, let's go to the quick demo again. Capabilities. Okay, so duck override. Duck override, you know that if a user creates a file and sets this file to read only by the user, if you are root, it doesn't matter because root is God and I can read it anyway. But we can forbid that with duck override.
Okay.
Okay, so let's create a user foo, change to his user, and I create my super secret user file, and I just want to read it myself. Okay, so it's read and write only by the user. Now I'm the root, and I want to read this super secret file. I can't. Okay, because I have dropped the capability for the root account inside this machine. So, for example, imagine that you have a multi-tenant, and you know the files belong to your tenants, to your clients. You don't want anyone that has gained root in a container to see the files of your final clients.
Interesting.
Okay, and I have another very simple example. Network row packages. You know, network row packages, you don't use like a standard HTTP package, but you can forge your own packages. This is something that is very common on security scanner, metasploits, different types of bug. You know that if you forge a package in a certain way, you can exploit a vulnerability. Okay, so you can drop. If you don't need it, why do you have this capacity? Okay, so you see Nmap cannot open a row socket. Okay. So let's go back to the...
Interesting. So basically, the way to use this feature is I should look at what my applications are doing and drop all the capabilities that I shouldn't be using. Or add the capabilities that restrict actions into my user.
Yes. Actually, you can also, with capabilities, you can also add some capabilities to a special user. So you can have it both ways. You can remove from the root or add to the user.
Understand.
Okay, you have both ways. Okay, it's nicely integrating with Docker. And for example, in Kubernetes, in the YAML file that you use to specify a pod, you can actually there configure the capabilities.
Interesting.
It's higher level, more intuitive. So the thing that we say we don't like, in this case, if you call drop net row, I mean, it's clearer. Okay, things that can be improved. They have some catch-all capabilities, like, for example, capsys admin. It's very, very common to see capsys admin. I mean, kind of defeats the points, because if you slice the powers of root, but then you have like a catch-all, and
defeats the point.
yeah, yeah. It's, I don't know, they at some point they did a little bit of lazy design and have one capability that includes all the others. And well, there is a catch situation where you can forbid a capability, but you can mount an external file system that has capabilities attached to the files. So it's
okay, it can become complex.
Yeah, can become complex. You have a situation where you can actually override this limitation. Okay, for the next tool, AppArmor. AppArmor is, I would say, the most comprehensive, the most complete of the three. Okay, so it's a kernel security facility. It's very often compared with Linux. Okay, Linux is like the difficult and complex brother of AppArmor. Okay.
Yeah, there is a lot of discussion in the community. Who is better? Which is better? And yeah, they are different.
Yeah, Linux was originally created by the NSA and other three-letter agencies. So yeah, it's very interesting. So well, with AppArmor, you associate a profile to a program. You have very fine-grained access to files. I mean, AppArmor is very focused on the files, but since in Linux almost everything is a file, actually you can do a lot of things with AppArmor. And it includes capabilities. We are going to see a file, so basically includes the other features, the other software.
Yeah, exactly. Before.
Exactly. So let's go to AppArmor. Yeah, here I have a custom profile. So you will see that you have the network permissions, the 9 network role, the thing we just did. Very specific policies for the directories, what you can do in each directory.
Okay.
And also, as I said, the capabilities.
So basically, the idea in this file is I can decide to allow or forbid doing 13 actions over different files.
Exactly.
And also I can use capabilities.
You can also use capabilities, and you can also use network. And you can also use audit or deny modes, or even combine. You can audit and deny, etc. So it's much more comprehensive. The other two are very straightforward. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, I have to load this profile into AppArmor, and then I'm going to just launch a Debian container that executes the command.
So I see that our AppArmor is also integrated with Docker, like we have seen with SecComp before. Capabilities. So it's very easy from Docker to load these tools.
Correct. So yeah, I cannot ping because I don't have. So if I go to same thing. Okay.
So this is happening basically because on that profile we had a line that it was denying access on /etc.
Yeah, there you have it.
Or the ping didn't work because we didn't have access to
network raw packages. Yeah.
Okay, understood.
You can see lacking privilege for raw.
Okay, clear.
Okay, so let's go back to the Okay, what we like, well, actually, AppArmor has a learning mode where you can, because you are not going to know on the first try what your container exactly does and doesn't need to access. So you have a learning mode, and it gets all the actions in a log. So then you can decide what actions do you want to allow and forbid. It has, of course, much richer semantics. You have seen the file.
Yeah.
The others is basically a allow deny file. Here you have rules that are complex.
Yeah.
So, and things that you could improve, there is no straightforward integration with Docker Swarm or Kubernetes.
So you cannot use those resources, you cannot use concept of pods or services to define the policies.
Exactly. This tool, I mean, is older than all the container revolution, and let's say that you can use for containers, but it's not clearly not designed for this use. Okay, and also the learning curve. The other two is just whitelist where you forbid and allow. Here you need to actually learn the format. I mean, it's not a big disadvantage. I mean, it's still not as hard as settings.
Okay.
Okay. So
Cilium.
So we move to Cilium. Okay, Cilium. Let me go. 1 second. Cilium. Yeah. I'm going to prepare the
demo because it takes a bit slow.
Yeah, it has to. I will be loading into the background. Okay. So Cilium is very interesting. It's a relatively new software, and it addresses the concept of networking inside containers,
okay,
on the security of container networking. Okay. So I would say this has not been too much of a concern until now. So basically, you use virtual Docker networks and off you go.
Yeah.
But Cilium actually allows you to do very clever things.
Because the way container networks work, you cannot use tools like IP tables.
Exactly.
Things like that.
Yeah, very good point. Exactly. It's not very easy to use. I mean, or even possible to use IP tables. The rules that we all know and are used to. Okay. So we needed a specific tool. So then with Cilium you can create a Docker network. The driver of this Docker network will be Cilium, and then you can load this BPF, is Berkeley Packet Filter, bytecode, that actually compiles network rules. Okay, so you can manage the network security, load balancing, visibility, etc.
Okay, understood. So these are like some rules that you need to compile. They are loaded inside the kernel.
Yes.
And then the Linux kernel is modifying how the network stack works to apply the different rules we might be defining.
Exactly. It takes a declarative language and compiles down using LLVM. So it's actually, I mean, the technology behind it. You should take the time to read about it because it's really nice. And this compile file, you can, for some network cards, you can upload to the network card.
Oh, so for performance reasons.
Yeah, for performance reasons. Okay. So it's very, very interesting performance-wise. Okay, I have an example here, very simple example. I have created a network, like I said, using the Cilium driver.
Okay.
Okay. In this example, it's already here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is create a very simple web server, and I'm going to use this policy. I'm going to load this policy into Cilium. Okay, this policy, what says basically is that only app2 can access this app1 that we just created, and only using port 80 and protocol TCP.
Okay, so basically in this JSON file, we are defining rules that, like, it could be a firewall,
yes.
And then Cilium network is going to implement.
Yeah, we are. I'm going to talk about that later. We are defining rules, but very interesting thing to see here is that we are using container contexts.
Yeah, this is the first time. We haven't seen this before on capabilities or seccomp.
So I like to compare this, I mean, to some degree to Falco, but for the networks.
Okay.
Because it combines like the low-level concepts, like ports or, well, network concepts, with high-level concepts, like you can say this Kubernetes namespace can communicate with this Kubernetes namespace, or vice versa, or cannot communicate with this other. Okay. So yeah, let's load this policy, and now I'm going to launch app2. App2 is going to talk with app1. It works because we have defined it to work. And now I'm going to launch app3. App 3 is not whitelisted here.
It's not a container that is on the on the match label.
So the operation timeout, because this is like a firewall, and basically the packets are dropped. Okay, this is a very simple example, but you get the idea here.
That's cool. I think Celia not only can do networking and firewalling, you can also do API security. Like you can inspect inside HTTP protocol and things like that.
Yes, you have kind of level 7, you know, L7 filters.
Yes.
So you can actually, this example is called level 3 and level 4.
Okay.
Because it covers network and containers, but you have levels for the transport protocol, HTTP in this case. So yes, you can do higher level things with the protocols.
That's cool. That's definitely a project to keep an eye on.
Yes, I would say so, because yes, as we said, there is no much, not many tools that can manage the container network. Okay, so we like, as we just said, the integration with Docker and Kubernetes concepts is really, really cool. That's something that we are going to see again in Falco.
Yeah, this is something we do at Sysdig.
Yes.
Obviously,
yes, very Sysdig like. And we like that it combines to very efficient machine code. Okay, so it's efficient. Okay. Things that we would like to improve, identity certificates. Okay, this is actually in the roadmap, to be fair, but you can say that you are application 2 and Cilium is going to believe you. You don't have to present an actual certificate of your identity, okay? So, I mean, if the hacker or malicious person is clever enough, he can play with the names. And yeah, it's very focused on HTTP. All the examples I have seen works, as Jorge said, work with the protocol level, but I have seen mostly HTTP.
So the bad thing here would be that level 7 application level firewalling can be valid only for HTTP. If I'm doing other protocols like database queries or things like that, won't be that useful in those cases.
I'd say that's correct.
Okay.
Next I'm going to present CoreOS Quay. Okay, so as I said at the beginning, at the intro, when we use container, we are really happy because we are just spawning black boxes and we are just creating our Lego with the black boxes. But it's important not to forget about the contents, because you can have an application that from the outside it works like a charm, but it has vulnerable libraries or vulnerable binaries. Okay, so we are going to use CoreOS Quay in this case. Just as a reminder, CoreOS Quay uses the open source Clay engine.
Okay,
so you can actually create a local scanner using this open source Claire tool.
Okay, so Quay is software as a service run by CoreOS.
Exactly.
If you want to run it yourself, you can use their open source project.
Exactly. You can run Claire locally. Okay, so I have also a simple example here. By the way, if you cannot see the console or anything, just say it in the chat. But I think the font sizes. Okay, so I'm going to log into my Quay account.
Don't tell me you forgot your password.
No, I didn't. I just, yeah. It was just a typo error. Okay, so I created like a very easy, a trivial image. You can upload your container images. And this is what, this is called static or cold scanning.
Okay, so we built an image here, and now we are sending this into Claire registry.
Yeah, it's Quay, because we are using the software as a service.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to sign in. Okay, so I uploaded the image. You can see it. Yeah, let me do it. Okay. Here I have this trivial flask example. And yeah, it's too big. And you can have the different tags. For example, you can have production, you can have development.
Or different versions.
Yeah, different versions, staging, or a new feature, etc. And actually what I really like about this kind of tools is that they are very easy to integrate in your continuous development, continuous deployment workflow.
Okay.
So they have webhooks, they have an API. Every time it's very easy to trigger a hook every time a developer creates a new image. Okay, so okay, we can see here. This is let's say the security panel. We have the Docker file with all the steps. So this is very useful. And clicking the back here, we will have all the security problems that this scanner has found in the static image. Okay, so this one is high. You also have a link, so if you want to read more, you can always open the link and see specifically what happened, etc. And you can also see the index by package that can be, for example, my system day is the main problem here. I can upgrade it, and it actually tells you which version will solve your security problem.
Okay, so the idea is that this software opens my container image.
Exactly.
And treats that like if it was, for example, Ubuntu image or a Red Hat or CentOS, and goes to their security databases, finds existing CVEs.
Yeah, they have like a huge database of known vulnerabilities, and yeah, it's basically a must, because otherwise, if you have a security problem in one of your libraries, you will never. I mean, nobody is going to manually scan the container images.
Yeah, and I especially like the idea of hooking this up in your continuous integration.
Well, actually, in the we like easy to integrate with your CI/CD workflow, and yeah, the web interface just looks nice. Okay, and could improve. Well, these tools, this is the same deal that antivirus software. These things like to list a ton of things, so they seem really, really useful, but
sometimes can become noisy.
Yeah, okay. They are noisy, yes, because they want to maximize, they want to maximize their. Okay, and also you have links to the report, but this report CD is very, very technical. Sometimes a human level explanation of what's happening will help. Okay. So yeah, the next one is Twistlog. So
this is now my turn.
Yeah. Now I'm passing the.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, Mateo. I think this has been very interesting. I think we have seen open source tools. Quay was a little bit sitting in between because it was run as a service, but it was using open source behind. But we are going to cover now a couple of commercial tools as well. And I would like to start with Twistlog. Twistlog is probably one of the first commercial security tools that appear in the ecosystem. And well, we are going to quickly see that it has tons of features. So they contributed an authentication framework that it's now on Docker upstream from Docker 1.10. The idea is that you can create different users and different access control capabilities to run the different commands. So some users, they can do Docker list, some users can do Docker kill, or other users can do Docker run. More things that Sysdig can do. Vulnerability Explorer, they call it. This is basically static image scanning, but a little bit different to what you just showed with Quay.
In which respect?
Is that they have an additional score, so they give you more information, and if vulnerability it's important for you or not, given where your image is sitting in your infrastructure. So imagine, for example,
make an example.
Imagine you have a database with OpenSSL, but that database is not exposed to the outside network. So it's not as important as if it was exposed to the internet. So maybe it's not the priority to fix those things. They have that score that helps to consider your priorities. They also have image trust capabilities. So the idea is there are multiple container registries out there. We have Docker Hub, we have CoreSQL, OpenShift has its own. There are multiple of them.
Yeah, there are several registries that are even a little bit homebrew.
Exactly.
Sometimes you are not so sure of running an image. Yeah.
So you can define policies and which images you can pull and use from each different registries. And obviously, with all these security issues that we can identify in the images, and with that level of trust that you define from different registries, you can define security policies. So I cannot deploy a container or an image of a container in production that has the top level security vulnerabilities. Also can be integrated in your CI/CD pipeline like we have seen before. They have another cool feature which is called runtime radar. The idea here is that it understands the topology of your container infrastructure. It's actually, first time I saw this, it reminded me to Sysdig topology, but it just understands the positioning. And then it does some kind of profiling and what each container is doing. And with that, they can define some network policies actually integrating with Weave or Calico. They even have their own web application firewall. They call it Cloud Native App Firewall. So this is kind of their strategy for doing runtime analysis.
The web application firewall has nothing to do with what we saw in Sysdig.
No, it's different. It's more web application traditional. They do one cool thing is that they attach automatically the firewall to each of the images, which I see some advantages on automation and the default security. I'm not sure how is that going to work when you have multiple instances of a container, and then your web application firewall might be taking into account things like sessions or things like that. So yeah, they do a bunch of things on runtime. For example, they look at the Docker file, and if the process inside does things, opens ports that they are not defined on the Docker file, triggers, alerts. They also look at system calls or networking, but they don't have much context. They just can do block or allow system calls, basically like like seccomp. Probably they are using seccomp underneath.
Yeah.
And their profiling, it's quite cool, but I have the impression it's mostly based on networking. They cannot do much profiling in what the processes are doing. They have other features like they do compliance reports. They do secrets management. This is one of the
points
we cover. The idea is to keep credentials, password, certificates in secure.
Yeah, you will be surprised how many tutorials tells you to just send the passwords in an environment.
Yeah.
And how many production environments still have, that working that way. It's crazy.
And actually, another feature they have is to automatically detect those scenarios. So if someone is misusing, probably you could say that way, environment variables, they trigger an alert. They also have file integrity, something similar to Tripwire. They recently released serverless security. And they have two versions, one free, although I couldn't try it as deep as I would have liked, because they don't have a direct trial, the developer edition and their enterprise edition. I got a couple of screenshots that I want to share. This is a vulnerability explorer. The idea is that you can see different graphs with the different hosts that they are running, vulnerable containers, or the images that you have in your repository and which ones they are affected. And you can see the different CVEs or the different vulnerabilities with the risk score or the impact packages for those images. Yeah, some more details. These guys, they give you some explanations.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about in the.
Yeah, before.
Yeah.
Runtime Radar is another interesting feature. The idea is that they look at the orchestration tool, so you can see the different Kubernetes resources, and they evaluate those vulnerabilities depending if that container is exposed or not exposed to the external network and things like that.
It's kind of a security topology.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Yeah. And they also do some kind of runtime profiling. They call it runtime radar. They can do syscall. So, for example, here in this image, you can see how they trigger alerts on sockets, on connect. I have the impression that since system calls, they cannot get any context, this is going to become a little bit noisy in production. But I haven't checked myself yet, so I'm not sure. If you look at how you can configure a system call rule, you can basically allow or block system calls, but there is no kind of context. For example, you could do chmod system call, as we have seen before. Yeah. There is no way to allow that for some files or to...
Or show containers.
Exactly.
Or some Kubernetes namespaces.
Yeah. And the way they auto-discover the system calls that they should be allowed or blocked is looking at the source code. That's why it only works with interpreted languages. It doesn't work with Go, Java, or any other compiled language.
Okay.
So yeah, I like it that this is a full stack security. So they have the onion approach, multiple layers. I like they have some machine learning on runtime, but I'm not sure if that's going to be very noisy or not. Well, the things that I think they can improve is system call blocking. It's basically like a comment. You can do yes or no, but no if.
Yeah, you cannot have complex rule.
Exactly, and the profiling is mostly at the network level. They cannot look at if processes are writing some files or if those files they have this content or things like that. So interesting.
Yeah.
Another similar product, a little bit more recent, Aqua. They have more or less the same functionalities. Aqua probably has a different approach. Maybe it has less time in market, so maybe some minor features that we have seen in Twistlog they are not here in Aqua. Right? I also think it's interesting. They have authentication and access control, as we have seen before. They also have vulnerability scanner for images. They also have like these kind of additional signatures to give more information rather than it does exist a CVE or not in your image. So they have that additional information. Okay. Also, image trust against different registries. Yeah. You can define security policies with all these rules. One thing that Aqua has, and I haven't seen in Twistlog, are those kind of default security profiles for popular images. So you go to the official Nginx image, you have a profile.
That's something that I have seen in the Anchor. I don't know, Anchor security also does this kind of things.
Okay, interesting.
But it's software as a service.
Okay.
Software as a service. So if Anchor does this, it's interesting.
Yeah. And they also have some kind of runtime protection, but again, it's most on the network on the network level rather than inside the containers. They have also some inside, but it's not very complete, to be honest. We saw that Twistlock leverages Weave or Calico for the network policies. Aqua brings its own container firewall. They call it nano-segmentation, so it works out of the box if you are not using those software. They have good event logging, so you can have traceability of what every user is doing in your cluster. They also have secrets management. Another cool thing they have is they look at the host security and they make sure you are following the best practices on host security as well. I've seen they have multi-tenancy, which is very interesting. This is similar to the Sysdig Teams feature we have in our monitoring tool. The idea is to leverage different permissions and different policies to different users and groups. And I like it that you can also deploy it as an application running inside Kubernetes. Both Twistlock and Aqua can be deployed as a daemon set, the agent that does all the work inside the cluster. But this Aqua can also be deployed there.
The control
center, exactly the backend on Kubernetes. Have screenshots here as well. So the typical container image scanning interface where you can see the different vulnerability reports and severity, the package and the version affected.
Extremely similar to
the nano segmentation, which is the container firewalling. So the idea is that they can block or allow connections between containers. So
similar to Thelium.
Similar to Thelium.
Extent.
Yeah, or what Twistlock does with Weave or Calico.
Yeah.
And they also have this runtime monitoring. This alert or event when a container is running a ping command or is running an interactive shell inside the container. They also have something that's called threat mitigation. It has it's like a cocktail mix of everything. They have some port scanning features. They have the default profiles that you can apply to popular images, some IP reputation.
So they not only scan the popular images, but also offer like customized protection.
That IP reputation reminds me to network ideas like Suricata or something like that. Yeah. And the typical fork guard, so you don't have fork bumps in something that you can also prevent with secrets and using separated user namespaces for containers. But yeah, interesting to have it there, definitely. I like full stack security again and multi-layer security approach. I like very much the idea of providing default profiles for popular images and checks against the host. I like the multi-tenancy. Again, I think the runtime protection is very network oriented, and they could be doing more on how the process is actually working inside the container rather than communicating with others.
Yeah.
So,
I wish we had a solution to monitor runtime behavior of containers.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to take over for this last part.
Okay.
Thank you, Jorge.
Yeah, we're going to show us.
That was really interesting. I'm going to present Sysdig Falco, which is
what we do.
Yeah, it's what we do. Is part of what we do. We have other solutions. But on the security front, we have this Sysdig Falco. So
Sysdig Falco is also open source, right?
Yeah, it's open source. It's an open source solution. And what I'm going to show in this demo, you can try it at home. It's free in both senses of the word.
Okay.
So Sysdig Falco works as an IDS, intrusion detection system. You can actually use it on any Linux host. It will work. Okay, but it's particularly useful for the Docker container microservices context. Why? as we said with the seeding tool, it mixes very well low-level context like system calls or process ID, etc., user ID, low-level context of your operating system with high-level context from the orchestration. So you can actually say, you can perform this system call on this Kubernetes namespace or this Kubernetes replica set.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, it's also behavioral scanning in real time. The event gathering is in the kernel, is in a kernel module, but all the processing happens in user space. Okay. So other tools, other security tools live in the kernel, which is, I mean, is fast, but then you need, it's like a full stack, it's monolithic. You cannot process, you need this tool to inspect the context. And yeah, you also call, you can invoke a program on different alert levels, so you can emit alarms using your mail client, etc. So yeah, let's go to the console, command line. So I have this Ubuntu with Docker. That's, well, obviously I need to be root. Okay, so ls mode. You can see here this Falco kernel module.
So Falco uses the same.
Yeah, it's the same approach like Sysdig.
Open source. Okay.
It's obviously it's the same technology fundamentals. So it has a kernel module that collects, and all the processing and all the cool stuff is done here. Okay, so Falco itself is a container. You don't need to pollute your host.
Okay.
For example, if you are using a minimal like Core OS or Rancher, you don't need to install. That's the idea, no? That you can use a separate container. Okay, so Falco can do a ton of things. So I would like you to go to Katakoda and the Falco course and see for yourself.
Oh, because we can share the link.
Yeah, we can share the link at the end. That's actually a good idea. Please look for the link. Okay, because what I'm going to show here is very limited, and I would like you to see the full potential. Okay, so what I'm going to do, a very simple thing. Docker run an Nginx image. Regular vanilla Nginx, okay? I didn't do any instrumentation, I didn't install an agent. This is your vanilla internet Nginx image. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is create an interactive kind. Run an interactive shell.
Okay, so you just run the shell?
Yeah, and if we go to the Falco events, this has raised an alarm. Obviously, if you are running an Nginx container, an interactive bash shell is not good. It's
okay.
Something that's suddenly happening. Okay.
Yeah.
So here I want to point this. Actually, you have the name of the container, you have the command line that was executed, and you have the process ID. So as we say, we are having both.
Okay.
Combining in very powerful rules. The low-level context with the high-level.
Can you show us how do you define these rules?
Yes. It's, as I said, it's a bit of a big topic for this presentation.
Yeah, just very quickly.
But you have macros where you can define groups or events. You have lists, and you have rules that, for example, let me go. Rule. You don't want anyone to write below any binary dir. So you have a priority error, and here you have these replacement variables that Falco will fill out for you, where you can talk about Kubernetes namespace, you can talk about process ID, you can do very complex rules. Okay. Because this also has its own language, and you can also have like Boolean operators, and if this condition, etc.
Okay, you
Okay.
can send events or alerts to a log file, but I guess you can also send it to another.
Yeah, like I said, like for simplicity, we are just sending to a file, but you can do a program invocation. So you can very well dump your alerts to a mail and then call the mailing dialog. Okay. So yeah, another rule that I want to show. The rules example 2 for rules.yaml. Okay. We just have to restart the container. And what I'm going to do is basically the same thing in Minsky bash ls and see the contents. Okay. What is very cool about containers and about Falco and the integration between these two, that you know exactly which processes you want to be running. So anything, I mean, you can do a very, very brief list of things that you want to be running in your container. And you can actually alarm or on anything that goes outside this list, okay? So here, why is there is a process bus in my Nginx container? Why there is a process list in my Nginx container? My Nginx container should only be doing Nginx.
Okay, so using that configuration file you have shown us before, you can create different profiles for your containers.
Exactly. And you can have different, I'm going to show you very briefly. Okay. So this is only going to happen if the container image is an Nginx.
Okay, so you only apply this rule to Nginx containers and nothing else.
Exactly. So it's much more powerful than just saying, no, you cannot execute this system call, because that will apply to all your containers and eventually will be a mess.
Yeah.
Okay. So Falco, I'm going to back to the presentation. What are we especially proud of? As you have seen, there is no instrumentation, no agents, so it's very true to containerless in patterns, because containers have to be minimal. You don't want to have a container that has to call an API and send the reports or the warning. The container never knows that Falco is there watching them.
Okay.
Okay? So it's totally transparent for the containers. You can use the clean internet images. And as I said, the rules that you really, really want to create need a clever combination of low-level context and container orchestration context. Okay? Just to be critical with results, things that we would like to improve. So far, Falco only does detection, so it will not go as far as to actually block a forbidden operation. And as you have seen, it's command line and a config file, so it's really powerful, but so far it's a little bit do it yourself. Okay. And I think that's the last one.
Yeah,
the last one we wanted to show.
That's cool. Thanks very much, Mateo. Now if people have questions, maybe we can try to answer some of them. We have a few minutes more. Knox, are you there? Yes, no?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh. So do we have questions?
Yeah, so let's see. Is this Quay service by subscription or free?
The Quay server, they let you, it's kind of similar to GitHub. You can have public repositories. If you want to go private, then up to some point you have to start paying their service. So, it's a freemium. You can do a lot of things free as long as you do it in public repositories.
Okay.
If I'm correct, I really didn't go through the price and offering of
There are quite a few different
Yeah, you have Docker
container
Hub.
scanners, and also registries. It's like two components on container security that usually they go together.
Yeah, they go together. It's like an extra feature.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
There are also a lot of questions about if we'd have the presentations available, the demos available on GitHub, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we're going to have a full recording with all the slides as well as the demo examples for you guys to use.
Yeah, also in the blog post that Mateo published, we have a bunch of different examples that people can copy and paste and run themselves.
Yeah, I will share with you guys the examples on this webinar. But if you go to the blog post, you have actually longer and more explained in detail. I mean, the examples there are more developed. So,
Okay,
but yeah, we can share the ones that we just did.
Cool. So other, all right, we just got a question from Tyler. What combinations of products would give you confidence to release in production? It seems many have specific pitfalls, and you will need double coverage.
Yeah, I'm not sure there is one size that fits all.
Oh yes, yeah, because it also depends a lot of, I mean, your size.
Your size, your priorities. You have open source tools, you have commercial tools.
Yeah, don't just give the cowards response. let's go for a.
I think you need to have a registry, so somewhere to store your images. It can be Docker Hub, can be Quay, can be the OpenShift one, and then you need to have image scanning because it's simple to implement. We have seen a bunch of different software can do it. Docker Hub can do it. Chorus Quay can do it.
You know one thing that we didn't mention in this webinar and is a must to go to production, but is actually is listed on the article. You need resource limits. That's very important. I mean, in the first layer, don't focus so much on hackers with the hoodies in the dark, but it's much easier that your containers fail because you didn't set the correct resource limits.
Yeah, that's true.
Because with Kubernetes, you have hundreds of containers, and it only takes some of them becoming crazy, and your complete infrastructure is done.
Yeah, protect from yourselves.
Yeah, that's the first. I'm not saying you don't have to do everything else, but I would say that's even before.
Yeah, that's a security measure that is available directly on the orchestration tool.
Yeah.
Directly. So yeah, general rule is take baby steps. Start with resource limits. Get a registry. Do static scanning. Do runtime analysis. Do drops of permissions, either using seccomp or using capabilities. Maybe firewalls and Linux are more tricky and they need more learning, but some basic things can be done quickly.
Okay, how much cost do these tools add on the actual performance of the app or Docker? And anyone else there's a ton of other questions. We'll definitely follow up with you individually if we don't get to yours.
Yeah, I'm not sure about other tools. I know about Falco. It really depends on Falco. We have two areas. One is the system call interception. That's very, very lightweight on performance impact because the kernel module all it does is to copy, like in Sysdig, the troubleshooting tool and the monitoring tool, copy the system calls into a memory ring buffer. Then can have some more processing depending on the rules. If you have rules very complex that they need to inspect the payloads of every system call, they will be more resource intensive. If they are very simple, they will be more lightweight.
Yeah, but there is also limitation, like 5%.
That's in the monitoring tool. On the open source tool, we haven't imposed any limitation as far as now.
Okay. So yeah, and things like, as I mentioned before, things like setcom or theme that rely on BPF, this is extremely efficient.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's basically, I mean, it's at the same level of the cheat code that goes into your kernel.
I know the static scanning, it doesn't happen on
yeah,
the
it's asynchronous.
But it's not complete. So you also need runtime scanning.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
No, but
security is really like an onion. You need to implement everything.
Honestly, Falco and the Sysdig tool is very, very modest in terms of resource use.
Yeah, yeah.
You should check for yourself. I encourage you to check for yourself, but I have had big clusters, and it's not really that much. Any other question?
Probably have a few, but we have been speaking for an hour, more than an hour, and probably people are busy. Nas, we have people emails. We can look at all the questions they made and maybe write a blog post answering them or answering via email, or people they can join our Slack channel on the Sysdig open source on Sysdig Falco, and we will happily answer any other questions we have there. Before we leave, yeah, go on, sorry.
I just chatted in the Slack group. If anyone wants to join there, we have tons of questions that come in each day, and we can help you out on that side.
Yeah, and look, if people they are really curious about running containers in production, the challenges, how to implement security, we need to send them a recommendation, and it's joining us for Sysdig event, that Sysdig conference come, I don't know, many words, Sysdig CCWFS. Do you know the full name, Knox?
Sysdig CampCon World Fest Summit, because there's not enough container conferences already.
Okay, cool. So we have people from Google, Docker, Mesosphere, Kubernetes, speaking, and also some people from
the great Helsinki Tower.
Exactly, and yeah, Loris is bringing some awesome news, and I myself giving a Sysdig open source training session. It's going to be 4 hours of very deep training on the Sysdig open source tool. So yeah, I think it's a good recommendation.
All right, everyone, thanks for joining. Mateo, Jorge, great presentation, and we'll follow up with recordings, slides, and examples for everyone.
Thanks everyone for attending.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.